Michael Scofield became one of the most calculated minds in television history, a structural engineer who turned his own body into a blueprint, his relationships into weapons, and every prison system that tried to hold him into a puzzle he'd already solved before walking through the door. So today, we're breaking down the 10 times Michael Scofield ran circles around everyone. Guards, FBI agents, mob bosses, global intelligence agencies, and the very prisons built to contain him. And we're saving the most insane one for last, because number one will make you question everything you thought you knew about this show. Let's get into it. Moment 1, the tattoo. Before a single episode begins, before Michael is ever arrested, before he ever sets foot in Fox River, the most elaborate con in the entire series is already complete. As a structural engineer, Michael had obtained the original blueprints of Fox River State Penitentiary, and rather than carry them in, where they'd be confiscated at intake, he encoded the entire escape plan directly onto his body. Escape routes, pipe systems, guard rotations, the PI work yard location. All of it hidden inside an ornate full-sleeve tattoo that looked like fine art to everyone else in the world. The opening scene of the series is the tattooist applying the final touches. At that point, the escape is already designed. Michael just hasn't lived it yet. What makes this moment iconic isn't the tattoo itself.
That's it.
It's the patience of the reveal. Season 1 is essentially a slow decoding process. Every episode, another section of the tattoo unlocks. The audience is always 2 steps behind Michael. And that feeling of realizing the plan was always bigger than you thought is the entire engine of the show. Moment 2, faking diabetes, plus the Puknak cover. Michael walks into Fox River's infirmary on day 1 claiming type 1 diabetes. It gets him daily access to Dr. Sarah Tancredi, access to the infirmary, and access to the room that would eventually become the escape team's exit point. But Sarah is good at her job. On Michael's second visit, she notices his glucose levels are abnormally low, as if he isn't actually diabetic. She tells him she wants to run a test at his next visit. Most people would panic. Michael had already planned for this. Before the test happens, he tracks down C-Note and pays him for Puknak, a real insulin blocker that makes a healthy person's blood test mimic a diabetic. He had researched Sarah's likely medical response before she had it, and preloaded the countermeasure before the problem existed. And here's the layer most people forget. Sarah is the daughter of the governor of Illinois, the one man with the power to grant Lincoln a stay of execution. Michael's daily infirmary visits weren't just about the escape route. They were about building access to the one person who could save his brother's life without anyone ever noticing. One needle, 2 parallel plans, both running from day 1. Moment 3, I'll see the Abruzzi/Fibonacci play. To access the tunnel site, Michael needs to be on the prison
Abruzzi, I need you to hire me a PI.
Industries work crew. Abruzzi, the mob boss, controls PI, and Abruzzi says no. Michael doesn't argue, he doesn't threaten. He walks away and leaves an origami crane on the table. That crane was a message. Before entering Fox River, Michael had done deep outside research and discovered that a federal witness named Fibonacci had testified against Abruzzi and put him behind bars. Not only that, Michael had obtained files containing Fibonacci's photos and his current protected location. Abruzzi sees the crane.
Just what I need. A duck.
PI, Abruzzi.
And immediately understands the implication. He lets Michael into PI without another word exchanged. But here's the part that elevates this from clever to surgical. Michael had already identified that Abruzzi owned Top Flight Charters, a private aviation company operating from a small airfield just 10 miles from Fox River. The Fibonacci leverage wasn't just about getting into the work crew. It was about securing a private jet waiting on the other side of the wall. The audience thinks Michael wants a job. Michael already has a plane. Moment 4, the Fifth Street Gambit. Michael needs one critical piece of intelligence before the escape can move forward. Of the 3 streets surrounding Fox River, which one will be clear when they run? He can't stake it out from inside. He can't ask anyone, so he builds a live field test using the prison's own security response. He gets Warden Pope alone during a Taj Mahal session, and engineers a moment where Pope has to step away, leaving Michael briefly unsupervised. Using a replica key obtained through Abruzzi, Michael slips out to the roof. When guards notice he's gone, an alarm fires across the facility. Michael watches. Police vehicles flood English and Percy. Fifth Street stays completely empty. He returns to Pope's office before anyone thinks to look there. Nobody suspects a thing. The 200 IQ layer is this. Getting caught was the entire plan. He intentionally triggered a security emergency to extract real-time surveillance data on police response patterns. He ran a live test on prison security by using the prison's own reflexes as the instrument. The mistake of being discovered was engineered from the start. Moment 5, The Taj Mahal / Warden Pope. Warden Pope wanted to give his wife a replica Taj Mahal for their 40th wedding anniversary. He'd built it poorly and needed help. He turned to Michael, a structural engineer, and invited him into his private office away from guards and cell blocks for weeks of sessions. Pope genuinely believed in rehabilitation. He trusted Michael. He treated him almost like a mentee, someone worth investing in, someone different from the usual population. And Michael let every bit of that warmth develop, because every session in that office was another intelligence operation, another chance to study the building layout, access areas, and move pieces of the escape forward, completely unsupervised, in the most secure administrative wing of the prison. What makes this the most emotionally complicated con in Season 1 is that Michael genuinely liked Pope too. This wasn't cold manipulation, it was calculated warmth, real affection deployed as a tool. And in the finale, Michael holds Pope at knife
We're gonna take this real easy, Warden. I just need you to do a couple things for me.
point. The man who believed in him most, to force him to open the right doors. Pope never saw it coming because the care was real. That's what made it a weapon. Moment 6. The fake Fibonacci location. Abruzzi is losing control of PI. His outside mob contact, Falzone, is cutting off his prison privileges because Abruzzi still hasn't delivered Fibonacci. Without Abruzzi running PI, the escape stalls completely. Michael can't hand over a real man in witness protection. An innocent person dies, and Michael doesn't operate that way. So he hands over a fake location. Canada. He coordinates with Abruzzi to make the tip look credible. Abruzzi's mob gang pursues the lead, but before they can act, Canadian law enforcement of the RCMP intercepts them. The mob crew gets arrested. Falzone loses his leverage over Abruzzi. Abruzzi gets PI control back.
Seems Philip Sona ran into some problem up in Canada.
Fibonacci stays alive and safe in witness protection. Michael never technically lied about where Fibonacci was. He just made sure the wrong people got there first, and then let law enforcement do the rest of the work for him. He used the mob and a foreign police force simultaneously, without either of them knowing they were being played. Moment 7. Blackmailing. Mahone FBI agent. Mahone wasn't just a competent investigator, he had decoded Michael's tattoo. He was hunting the escapees systematically, one by one, and closing the distance fast. Michael couldn't outrun him indefinitely, and not with a group. Not across state lines, not against an agent who already understood the plan.
Pam, I really can't talk right now.
Maybe I should call back.
So Michael stopped running and started researching his pursuer. He dug into Mahone's past and surfaced a buried secret connected to a man named Oscar Shales. Something Mahone had done that the FBI couldn't know about. Something career-ending. Possibly worse. Michael used it as direct leverage. Let me and my family disappear and this stays buried. He didn't fight the FBI's best weapon. He found the thing that weapon was afraid of and aimed it back. Moment 8. The origami code to Sarah. By Season 2, Michael and Sarah are fugitives. Every phone line is monitored. Mail is intercepted. Any known communication channel between them is a trap waiting to close. Michael needs to reach her, so he uses something no intelligence analyst could decode without living inside the relationship first. He hides a rendezvous point inside origami cranes. Folded paper carrying an encoded message built around a private emotional history only Sarah would understand. The cranes weren't random. They referenced specific moments, specific meaning, specific context that existed only between the two of them. Mahone could intercept the cranes. He did, but he couldn't read them because the encryption wasn't mathematical. It was personal. Michael had turned love itself into a cipher, and that's the kind of move that no intelligence training in the world prepares you to counter. Moment 9. Sona, the decoy escape. Sona is a completely different problem. No blueprints, no pre-planned infrastructure, no tattoo encoded in advance. Armed perimeter guards with orders to shoot escapees on sight. Michael walks in with nothing. What he builds instead is a human shield he never tells the truth to.
We only have 30 seconds. Go.
When the escape tunnel is ready, Michael tells Teabag, Bellic, and Lechero they have 30 seconds and sends them first. They go, the lights turn on, they're captured immediately. Guards flood inside the prison to process the chaos. And while every armed guard in Sona is pointed at 3 men who believed they were escaping, Michael's real group crawls out through the unguarded perimeter fence, which had already been chemically treated by Sucre on the outside, and disappears into the jungle. The cold calculation here is staggering. Michael used the 3 men who had threatened, manipulated, and endangered him throughout the entire season as live bait for his real escape. He never told them, he never had to. Their belief that they were part of the plan was the plan. Moment 10. Kanyel Autis, the 7-year deep cover. 7 years after his apparent death, Michael surfaces inside a Yemeni prison, operating under a terrorist alias named Kanyel Autis, leading a prison gang with no apparent memory of the man he used to be. Lincoln thinks his brother is dead. The audience thinks he's broken. Everyone is wrong. Here's the truth. Slowly unwrapped across Season 5. The death was a cover. The alias was a constructed identity built under the direction of an intelligence handler known as Poseidon. For 7 years, Michael had been operating inside a black ops program called 21 Void, breaking out of prisons in Colombia, Egypt, and beyond, running operations that officially didn't exist for an organization he couldn't name, under a face nobody recognized. The prison gang he appeared to lead was a controlled operation. The terrorist connections were fabricated infrastructure. Every single person around him, including the people hunting him, was looking at a character Michael had spent years building from scratch. And not even Lincoln, the brother Michael had sacrificed everything for in season 1, the entire reason the show exists, knew the truth until it was already over. Every other con Michael ran lasted days, weeks at most. This one lasted 7 years. The patience, the sacrifice, the complete and total erasure of his own identity, maintained perfectly across nearly a decade, with no one to confide in and no guarantee it would ever end. That's not just the deepest play of the series, that might be the deepest long con in the history of television. And the most painful part, the person he was protecting the most, his brother, was the last one to know. That's Michael Scofield. Always 10 moves ahead, always paying a price nobody else can see. Always, always one step ahead of the room. Here are for me one of the most iconic moments on Prison Break where Michael outsmarted everyone. Probably for you, they're different. It's because there's so many to put in just one video. Regardless of that, if you are a Prison Break fan and enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next one.